G'day and welcome to Kenty Blitz, your daily hit of NRL news. Kenty, big packed episode today, including lots of Ask Kenty, so stick around. We'll go through them. We'll start at the top, though. Brent Naden has been received a breach notice.
Yeah, breach notice. Look, I think that was...
Much ado about nothing.
Yeah, look, it's a funny thing was, like, I honestly don't know, and we don't want to harp on about it. We're just updating with the news. But he's got a breach notice. 3 other players have received warnings. What I think there's confusion about is how offensive this gesture is. Okay, now I'm not familiar with it. I don't know it. If I've had it done to me, which
I'm
is
sure you
chance,
have. I'm sure you have many times.
If I have, I've not noticed it. So, and if you don't unaware of how offensive it is, you don't take offence. Now that said, certain people are offensive. It was certainly offensive enough for Canterbury to make an official complaint to the NRL. I think that probably is where it starts. That I think adds some spice for next time Canterbury and West Tigers play,
if it was needed.
Well, yeah, exactly. If it was needed, but it certainly adds to it, doesn't it? So, look, anyway, he's done that. He's got 5 days. I think all he can do really is cop the fine or the penalty, whatever that will be. He did go on social media. He took a step further than the other players. He went on social media and said an expletive towards the Bulldogs.
Bit stupid.
Social media gets everyone into trouble.
Anyway, let's move on. We'll talk about the big game this weekend.
The big game.
Little
game. Yeah.
Bottom of the table clash.
It's amazing, isn't it? Des Hasler and Wayne Bennett, you go and you look at PointsBet, $3 for the Rabbitohs $3 for the Titans to win the wooden spoon this year, $2 for the Rabbitohs. Wayne Bennett, Des Hasler, the coach of those teams, never coached a wooden spoon team in their careers. Over 1,500 games that they've coached combined. Multiple premierships between them, and yet here they are. Essentially, whoever loses this game is the P for the job, really, as the wooden spoon coach. So I don't know how to explain it. We know what's happened at the Rabbitohs. We know the answers there about the injury toll that they've had. Titans, I think, have been very unlucky. They should have won last week.
You don't like it last week.
Well, they've had a few games this year. I reckon you could probably name 4 or 5 games this year. The Titans could well have won in different circumstances.
Well, they definitely haven't given up, have they? Definitely haven't given up on Des. They seem to be willing every game.
That's the main thing, yeah. And it's interesting with all this talk going around about Des being sacked that they haven't given up on him. Like, certainly their effort was much better than the Cowboys, for instance, and a few other sides over the weekend. So they are still staying in the fight. How that transpires this week, I don't know. I found it fascinating to watch Wayne Bennett after the game on the weekend. Now, as I've said, Souths are essentially putting out an A-grade side. They're a side that's guys are playing the side. You don't really know how many training runs they've really had with the team, to be honest. Like they didn't even have enough players for an 18th man from their 30-man squad. They had the 17 fit players was who had to take the field. He had to find positions for them all. Like, you don't get injuries in that neat way that you've got enough halfbacks or centres or fullbacks or whatever. You basically had to put players where you could put them. But Wayne was very relaxed after the game, very jovial. The stress of it, he made a point, I think, of making sure that his players saw that he was not stressed and worried. Was joking with the other journos, etc. Now, whenever Wayne's joking with the journos, something's up. Okay. Righto. Yeah. So, and what I think out of that, what he is trying to do is he'd already started coaching for this week. He does not want to win that wooden spoon. He started coaching for this week. He wanted to show his players that he was not upset with them with that loss. They did, and to be fair, they went out, gave as good as they had for as long as they could.
In the first half particularly.
Yeah, well, they just, and that's the thing with A-grade sides. An A-grade side might for 15 minutes or 10 minutes be able to go almost set for set with an NRL team, like a good A-grade side. But eventually the quality will get to them and they'll wear down over the course of the 80 minutes. And that's what happened last week. But Bennett was already putting things in place for this week's training sessions and for this week's game preparation, which was saying to his players, you know what, guys, it's okay. We tried our hardest. I'm not upset. I'm happy with the effort. Trying to keep them in a real good headspace. And then out of that, he'll coach the hell out of them this week. And he'll have them really set for a very hardcore defensive game Go out, defend like your lives depend on it. Try and keep the scores down, which they can do against the Titans. They're capable of doing that. And really just stay in the contest. And the longer South stay in that contest, and if they're still somewhere with a sniff with 10 minutes to go, the bad news bears, like momentum inside them, might actually help them get up. So
who are you picking?
I'm picking the Titans.
Yeah, okay.
Look, I do think South's capable.
Yeah.
Souths are they should be outsiders. I don't think they're favourites in any way. But I do think that they're capable of getting an upset there.
Okay, that's good. Got a multi for me on that?
My points bet multi. Look, it's going to go against everything I've just said. It's going to sound like it anyway. I think Souths are going to start fast. So I like Souths to score first in the game.
Okay.
Because I think they'll start fast. I think the game will be close. I've taken Souths plus 6.5.
Right.
And then if Souths are going to be in the fight, then Alex Johnson's going to score. So that's $3.90 in the same game multi, which I think it's going to keep you in the battle for most of the game anyway.
Yeah, very good. Well done. Mate, let's move on to the Kafusi tackle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about this. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone seems to be a bloody practitioner at the moment.
Yeah, the funny thing is people sort of get in the shits and critical of what we've said about it as well was, thing about it, when the referee sends a guy to the sideline, or calls a penalty out, he doesn't know he's got a broken leg.
No.
Okay, so the referee can't be a doctor and can't be expected to act like a doctor. And when people see, he broke his leg, he should have been sent off, the referee doesn't know that. All right, people got to understand that about the game. The other thing, though, that concerns me about the game particularly, about the tackle particularly, if you watch the way he hit, it's almost a perfect technique tackle in many ways. They hit him up high, and then Kafusi comes in as third man in. Now, when he hits him, he doesn't go across the legs really like the classic hip drop tackle.
Yeah. It looked like a good tackle.
Yeah, and look, if there was no one up above, it would have been a good tackle. You just would have taken his legs out and cut him down. I think that's going to be a problem. This is going to be, I believe, a growing problem in the game because now that the players are doing that and they're still resulting in broken legs because of the force, a big part of the technique problem was the first two tacklers that came into the tackle were holding him up, which is standard practice, and then you chop the legs. Mm-hmm. That's how they use. That's the technique they use to get the slowest play of the ball possible. Okay.
Get the guy on the ground.
Hold him first up. Hold him up. Wrestle him, and then all of a sudden that buys you a couple of seconds.
Get him on the ground at the end.
Then you hit him on the ground. Sometimes when as the referee says held, or after the referee says held, that third guy will come in and chop the legs. But they're so big these days. There's just so much force and impact in these tackles that I think it could be something that it's probably going to have to be looked at sometime down the future.
So what do they do?
I don't know, mate. I honestly don't know.
2 men in the tackle?
Well, I don't like that. No, I don't like 2 men in the tackle, and I don't know how they address it.
And you can't say don't go around the legs because...
Well, you can't say that.
Guys keep pushing on. They don't...
But what you do, certainly if you're coming in from an angle, okay, if a player is that way... And if you've got your leg, the danger is if you've got a leg planted in the ground, or that leg that they hit is actually the one that's bearing the weight of your body, your body weight. If that's the case, then when you hit that leg, it can't slide or be picked up. And essentially, what's going to give first? It's the bone.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I think it could be a developing problem for the game that we need to. I hopefully like to think we're going to get ahead of it rather than have to chase it. But
we can't have more crackdowns.
We can't, mate. But what we've got to do. See, the players are making adjustments now according to the rules. But the game has probably got to get ahead of that until we get a couple more. Not wait until we get a couple more broken legs, and then say, okay, we need to address this. I think at some point we're going to have to look at it pretty seriously.
Well, the argument is that we kind of shot down yesterday that the player who's penalised should get the same amount of time off as the injury.
Can't happen.
Can't happen for the reasons you talked about yesterday. I looked back at, there was a tackle early in the season where Manly Sipley got banned for 4 weeks. Yeah. He did a hip drop on Matt Feagai, who was out for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of precedence there. I don't think they can do that.
Yeah, look, there's a long history in the game too of players getting injured out for extended periods. But again, look, a player does a cruciate ligament. Should his tackler be out for that long as well? No, it turns the order dirty pretty quickly.
If you want to hear Kenty's take on that, listen to yesterday's show.
PointsBet's new 5 for $25. Answer more or less to 5 player performance questions and get $25 odds. The fast and easy way to place the same game all day on rugby league, available only in the PointsBet app. PointsBet, built different.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Mate, news today that the NFL and ESPN have done a deal. And the reason why we're talking about this is because the NFL have taken 10% of ESPN in light of providing them some programs. And it's interesting because we know our fans like the different sports, but also because Rugby League has their broadcast deal coming up. Do you foresee any chance, and it's happened in football or soccer in Australia, Paramount took a percentage of the A-Leagues.
Yeah.
Do you see any potential that the new broadcast deal, which comes up in 2 years' time, that there could be a percentage ownership by the NRL of one of the stations?
Where we stand right now, no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let me just go through this. So what happened is the way this works is, well, okay, I spoke to Peter V'landys today. Now, if there's one person that would see merit in an idea like this and understand the value in an idea like this, it is him.
Mm-hmm.
But I spoke to him today and he didn't sound like it was workable now for the NRL. Okay. Now, the way it works with the NFL and ESPN, essentially what my understanding is, the ESPN did not have basically enough of a cash balance to be able to say to the NFL, we want the rights, so we're going to pay you cash for them and pay you money for them.
They wanted to buy a few programs, NFL Red Zone, a few other programs, which they'd add to their programming. And rather than that money,
they didn't have the money. So what they did was they went to them with an idea that we can't basically give you the money we think it's worth. So we will give you a percentage of our company for those rights.
Yep.
Okay. So, and that's a clever business deal. Now, bear in mind, of the 100 most watched programs last year in the US, 98 were NFL.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So that's how big it is over there. So the NFL has, they've got a bit of sway when it comes into these negotiations. So ESPN tried to come up with that strategy. The NFL adapted it. Now, the great thing for both parties in this is that it's got to make, from ESPN's point of view, it's going to make the NFL want to give them more programming because they have basically now a percentage of profit.
Yeah, well, many people have said this is a way to stop Netflix and the other streamers coming in by networks kind of blocking those guys.
Well, it will, because they won't want to take their product to Netflix because they want to put it on ESPN where they have an interest in growing the wealth of the business. Okay?
So PVL said previously, V'landys has said that he's interested in talking to streamers.
Yeah.
Did he mention that today?
Look, all that's up for discussion.
Yep.
But the thing about that is DAZN have now taken over Fox Sports. They own 90% of Fox Sports, whatever it is now. And they are essentially the pay TV broadcast holders right now. That's who the NRL will be negotiating with, along with Stan and Paramount and whoever else. But DAZN are about, I think they posted a loss of about $1 billion last year. So the NRL wouldn't want to be buying into that company because you're buying into a company making a loss.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, the NRL would not be interested in doing that. Now, DAZN, and as part of its strategy, I imagine, to buy into Australia through Fox Sports would be to try and sort of bring back some of that losses, and they'd be doing that using NRL and AFL particularly. So I don't think they'll be looking to do that deal, and they'll be going in hard with cash to essentially try and buy the NRL. So I don't think it'll happen in the next broadcast deal. I don't think, certainly there's going to be an expected bump in how much they pay for the broadcasting rights.
If I'm a struggling network like Channel 10, I'd have to consider that. And because
I don't think they've got the money though, Woz. That's the thing. That's the thing. The big problem for the NRL is there's not a lot of like Amazon Prime they pay $1 billion a game for Thursday night football in the NFL, which is only 17 games, but they're paying $1 billion a game, and even ESPN they don't have a lot of games that they pay for all their money. The NFL has been so good at pulling all that apart and going to all the different streaming services.
Which we understand that's what the NRL is going to do. Do you ever see
They'll look at.
Do you ever see a time when Origin's on Netflix or something like that?
Not exclusively. Can't happen. It's illegal. Yeah. So under federal law at the moment, the what do they call it? The
free to air.
Well, the free to air, you've got to have it's anti-siphoning laws. Okay, under the anti-siphoning laws, some sports or events are precluded from being on pay TV, such as State of Origin, NRL Grand Final, AFL Grand Final. So they'll always be on free to air. Whether I can't imagine the problem if you say, well, what about just buying the entire competition? I still think some of the games are still got to be on according to anti-siphoning. Some of the weekend games have to still be on free to air. But the other part to that is, you don't want to go exclusively or too hard into pay TV because you become like rugby where you just disappear.
What's that? That's what they did in 2003. After the Rugby World Cup.
Yeah, and they took the cash. Soccer did the same. Did the same and took the cash thinking it was going to boost them up, and they rolled the dice and it didn't work for them. So NRL would be crazy to do something like that.
Well, all this points to the new broadcast deal, which comes up in 2 years' time, 2028. And from what we've been told, they're aiming for 3.2. They're about $2 billion at the moment, which is about $400 million per year for the 5-year deal.
Yeah.
They're aiming to get the AFL money, which is about $620 million a year.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about that is that the current deal, the difference, is about $100 million a year, right?
Yeah.
40% of that goes to, $240 million, $100 million of that goes to the clubs. So each club will get another $5 million per year, which goes on their salary cap. So pretty much overnight, when the new deal comes in 2028, teams will go from 11.5 to almost $17 million.
Yeah. So
we're talking about players overnight getting 50% more money. Great deal for the players.
Well,
great,
the players
great
don't. The best players get that. The best players take the top 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 at most in the club will get that extra cash, and then at the bottom end, whatever the Players Association negotiates as far as a pay rise of the minimum wage, that's where the rest will go. The guys in the middle don't really see that.
That's why I don't know how much of it this R360 is, because Wayne Bennett came out and said it's a major threat to the NRL.
Yeah,
Gus Gould said let them go, they can't play.
Go. Yeah, I don't know. I think you'll lose some. I don't think you'll lose as many as you think. I think it'll be somewhere in the middle. I tend to think it's probably be more towards Phil Gould's thinking than Wayne Bennett's. So I don't think it's going to be a major threat that you're going to lose half the competition. I don't know if rugby people would want to sit and watch half the competition full of rugby league players trying to play rugby union and having to learn on the run how to play rugby union. It would corrupt the game. It's just too many. So I think they'll get a few, but rugby league's got a great capacity to replace players that go to rugby union.
It does, and with an extra $5 million. The difficult thing is going to be for rugby and how they compete now, because at the moment the salary cap in Super Rugby is about $5.5 million. It's about $11 million. That's for 4 teams. Be 19 teams soon on about $15 million. Doesn't look good.
Yeah, bad luck.
Okay, watch this space, I guess.
Yeah, I'll be watching with interest.
Okay, very good. Well, let's get on to some Ask Kentys. We've got a lot today, Kenty. I need you to go through them quickly if you can, just to keep the punters happy at home. Glenn5765 says, it was about our discussion yesterday about the NRL draft. So does that mean if one player from the AFL took the AFL to court over the draft, it would destroy the draft system in the AFL?
Yes, it does. It does.
Jeez, that was quick.
Well, it does. Yep. But the AFL have an agreement with the AFL Players Association that they won't do that.
Okay.
So there's an agreement there that they won't do that. They've been paid to not do that. But if a player did do that, it would be thrown out and the draft would be over. Very
good. Danny from Townsville, up there. We love the Mad Cow nightclub up in Townsville, by the way, Danny. Hopefully you own that. How would you address the false economy in the salary cap to support the club's falling victim to the third-party snakes?
Yeah, look, the problem is, so the bottom teams have got to spend 90%. There's a salary cap, there's a salary floor, which a lot of people don't realise. So there's a minimum spend. And that's part of the problem that teams, the lower teams can have, because they have to pay extra to get players to their club. And a lot of that goes into that extra, making sure they reach 90%. But it means they can't go and essentially save their money for a few years and then go hard after a couple of players. They just can't do that. But that's just management. It's up to management to get out of that. The salary floor is a concern. There is a slight sort of adjustment where if you come in 5% lower on your cap this year, you'll have to spend 5% over next year. But that's only year by year. So it's not like you can stockpile money. And certainly a lot of players at the lower clubs are on more than they should be. One, to get them to go there and play, or secondly, because the club needs to spend 90%, and the player's not really worth the money, but they need to hit that 90%, which then makes that that extra 100 they've got to give a guy to hit that 90%. There's 100 they can't spend to get a guy to come to the club, which they probably would need. So, it's a concern, but management gets you out of it.
We've also answered one from FCG Glitches, so shout out to him, but we just answered your question as well. Okay, I like this guy, Mr. Vegemite Lover. Especially, he talks about the comparisons in the NFL, NBA. In your opinion, are there any rules in the NFL that could be adopted in the NRL, say scorer kicking off, or NHL where the player gets off into the penalty box?
Look, we can always do that. I don't buy into this. Let's just try and reinvent the wheel every time.
Yeah,
people love coming up with new ideas. Let's come up with a conference system. Let's come up with Bill Harrigan wrote a famous story years ago for Rugby League. Let's have one tackle every set of 6. How about you're allowed to throw the ball forward?
They do that anyway.
Hello.
They do that anyway.
Anyway, look, the point is,
NFL,
look, I will say about scorer's kick, given what we're seeing now with 6 agains and these runs of possession teams are going on, I think that might have an impact on that.
I think it's a matter of time before they bring that in.
Yeah, that's right. That could be working. The one about sin bin players coming on once a try has been scored, that's been around since Adam began to shave, really. So. I think I don't like that rule. I think if you commit a penalty, you're off. And the whole idea of having that penalty there is to discourage you from doing whatever that incident was. You can't have acceptable punishments. That's what professional fouls always were. Oh, I happen to give away a penalty because we can reset our line. Yeah. So they had to come in and actually put a sin bin on there to stop players doing that. You can't have acceptable punishments. You've got to make a punishment worthy of discouraging whatever the act is.
I got 2 I'm going to ask you about, Kenty. What about, there's so much furor at the moment about this kick-off and people getting knocked out. The NFL changed the kick-off.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Don't like it?
No.
Get rid of that one. What about in the last 2 minutes in the NFL, they have the 2-minute rule where they stop the clock? What do you think about that?
Look, the game kind of does that. But
what about this, that somebody asked a question, it's probably a little bit later on about, in the last couple of minutes on the weekend where the goal kicker took 90 seconds to kind of kill the game, doesn't it?
Look, let me say this to you, okay? Forget the clock that you see on TV. It's not an official clock. It is often wrong. They'll take the clock down when they know that they've got it wrong and they'll adjust it, okay? And they'll bring it back up in accordance with what the official game clock is. It's not an official clock. It should be because it's up on the big screen. It should be an official clock. The other thing is, though, when you score a try, the referee does call timeout, okay, until you go back and the kicker starts to get the kick organised. Now, sometimes the broadcaster might not stop the clock on the screen. Yep. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And then you'll see the referee and have a look, see if you can spot this. The goal kicker will take back, he'll set up, he'll get ready for the kick, and the referee will stand behind him and he'll just hold his arm up like that to wave time on. When the kick goes, because it has to be time on when he kicks the goal, because it has to be a goal in game time. But then once that happens, the clock goes off again until they kick off. So there is time off.
Okay, so that was a question which we integrated there by posting. That was very clever of us there, Kenty. Well done. Okay, Matt Dyson. Would a 3-test kangaroo tour with the games played in Papua New Guinea, New Zealand and Fiji against a Pacifica team with a test work similar to what Great Britain was? Kangaroo tour would tour there every 6 years.
Mate, again, we're reinventing the wheel.
I think the players want to play less rather than more. That's the issue.
And like I said, you can always come up with ideas that are interesting, if not always good, but at least interesting.
All right,
That's an interesting idea.
I got one for you. This probably here we go.
This will be a ripper.
Okay, not Marlene says, how about we make the goal kicking more interesting? And if a player scores the try, that player has to take the kick. In the case of penalties, the last player to touch the ball from the team awarded the penalty has to take the kick.
No, dumb idea.
That's it.
Dumb idea, mate.
We talked about that earlier and you teed off.
Mate, honestly, look, I've got to be careful how I answer this, right? If there's a 10-year-old boy out there that's asked this question, look, and it's come up at school, no, mate, sounds good, and I understand your desire for it, but, mate, when you get older and, you know...
and grumpy.
Well, no, but if you're an adult, which I dare suspect that this person is, well, you're a moron. So, yeah, it's a stupid... I actually think that's just designed to provoke me. That's why I'm not going to provoke. I'm serious. Honestly, that's one of the dumbest questions ever. Honestly, like, what sort of halfwit comes up with that? Mate, seriously, go look at yourself. He's the one bloke licking the mirrors at home, I can tell you.
Oh, dear. Anyway, all right, keep going. Concreter Dave, what player of the modern era would you put up against Cement Gillespie?
As a similar player?
Yeah.
Jake Trbojevic.
Really?
Yeah, just whacks.
Yeah.
Jake Trbojevic, Cement Gillespie whacked you. Yeah, he hurt you. He
stayed hit.
Yeah, and look, Jake Trbojevic, he's built low to the ground, he's nuggety, and he's just got beautiful technique. So,
very good.
Yeah, I'd say Jake.
Anton Thomas asks a lot of questions, but we're going to throw this in here. With a recent change about the Dally M Rookie of the Year, your mate, Marky Mark from the Roosters is ineligible because he's played.
A good decision.
Yep,
too.
5 games. Who's your special
for Rookie of the Year?
Yeah,
Toya from the Roosters.
Interesting.
Well, he's played Origin this year. I just think he's had a sensational year.
Yeah,
he's been good all year.
Good call.
They've got about 4, I reckon, could qualify this year. The Roosters, so they've had a really good year.
Chris Carroll asks, "Can you comment on the James Hooper situation?"
No.
Okay. Bazza asks, if the refs or players' responsibility in today's game to learn and play the rules and to the spirit, if it's the refs or the players' responsibility?
Well, they're both different. The rules and the spirit of the rules are different.
Okay.
Okay, and that's probably the onus is on both. Certainly the rules, you've got to play the rules. It's a sport.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to war here. It's a sport.
Mm-hmm.
It should be incumbent on everyone. Like, come on. Like, I get it. I look, we're all open to a little bit of gamesmanship. Guy gets away with something he probably shouldn't get away with, but the rules are there for a reason. Jesus, it's a sport we've got to play. It's an organised contest.
Okay, 2 more.
Has to stay organised.
2 more, Kenty. Who is the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time? This guy asks this question constantly.
The greatest, it's Ali for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's he suggesting?
Usyk.
Honestly, mate, if this kid's 12, I'll cop the question. Mate, if you're shaving, have a look at yourself.
All right. Last one of the day. David Beard, what is the biggest issue at the game in the moment? We probably need this.
Mate, these questions.
And how can it be rectified?
Well, don't ask the questions.
Stop, ask Kenty.
No, look, I don't know. Biggest issue, there's a whole stack of them, okay? Whole stack of them. As far as the play, I think the 6 again is an issue. I think it's questioning its public faith. But there's a lot of stuff going on. The salary cap, transparency, that's an issue for the game. In most ways, look, the game is in pretty good shape. Okay, the game is really, really going ahead in leaps and bounds. Okay, but yeah, the salary cap causes concern for people. They don't think it's fair. I just want more transparency from NRL headquarters about what's done and why it's done. And I think if they did that and brought the fans along for the ride with them, they'd be in a much healthier state. At the moment, there's a lot of suspicion. There's a lot of doubt. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. You go to a game these days, half the crowd's got tinfoil hats on because they're just waiting for the referees to stitch their team up. So there you go.
Very good. Well, we've got a live show coming up soon, Kenty.
Have we?
We didn't know about that, but we're going to have one before the end of the year. So we're going to answer that question in more detail. Anyway, that's Wednesday. What's on tonight, Kenty?
Darts on tonight.
Very good. You feeling good about it?
I'm going to throw straight and true tonight.
Okay. You got to warm up for that, or what?
Yeah, mate. Big warm up.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Oh, well, good luck, and good luck to the teammates, and see you tomorrow.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website